Hi, Cancer. Welcome to your love and relationship reading for the month of June. For those of you who are just now tuning in, these are generalized readings, so not everything in the reading may pertain to you. I am available to answer any questions as well as to do private readings and can be reached at mantraflowtarot@gmail.com. I like to start off with a reading focused on my singles, and then I move into a reading for my couples. So Cancer, what we have here is we have the Four of Cups. This indicates that, that you're going through a rather difficult time, that there's some things that need to be processed, and these things aren't something that are things that you're not necessarily communicating with others. These are things that are repressed. These are things that, people aren't aware of, where everything looks to be okay on the outside, but underneath, you're dealing with some things. Now, I think that this stems from a situation, we have the moon, where, this could indicate that you were part of a situation where somebody wasn't necessarily completely honest. You felt like you were in the dark, that there was things, wool pulled over your eyes, so to speak, manipulations that you were dealing with, and there are these things you're really pondering and trying to process. Now, what we have here is we have the Sun of Cups, and this could indicate that there is a water sign who has piqued your curiosity right now. Somebody who I think is actually trying to pursue you. However, it doesn't look like you're necessarily particularly open to it. Now, what we have down here is the Chariot. This has to do with the foundation of the situation. I think that, sometimes the different aspects of your soul can be going in different directions, and you're just trying to maintain control of, the situations that you're dealing with. And I think that has to do and touches on the Four of Cups, where part of you trying to maintain control is not really communicating what's going on within, okay? So you don't have that release so that you can move forward and heal. I really, recommend you speaking with somebody who you trust and somebody who you're close with. Now, a situation happened in the recent past. We have the Two of Swords, and this indicates that, your walls are up. And sometimes it's hard to penetrate these walls. And sometimes, you have your walls up, and I'm not even sure if you realize why they're up or what you're trying to fight against. So this is something that I think also, needs to be processed in regards to, like the moon and the Four of Cups. Good news is, though, we have the Strength card, which represents your aspirations. And I think right now, what this is telling me is that, you're trying to rebuild yourself, so ultimately you could become a stronger person and, rebuild yourself so you can get over these issues. These are things that I think that you are, quite frankly, very much aware of. And so what we have for you in the future is the Death card, and this signifies a new beginning, a rebirth. So I think that this really touches on you moving forward on a positive light. And the overall outcome is the Six of Wands, and this is a very happy, a very a prideful card. You really reaping the rewards of your success. And I'm really curious if you are going to give the Son of Cups a chance. This person seems to be somebody who, again, is pursuing you, but it's unclear at this time if you're open to being in a relationship with this person. And quite honestly, I'm not even sure if you're aware that this person is pursuing you, because you are caught up in this growth processing phase of your life, so to speak. So it's going to be really interesting to see if your eyes open and you see this individual as, a prospective partner. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and move into a reading for my couples. Okay. So the first card in the spread is the Four of Pentacles, and this represents what you're bringing into this relationship. And I think that this wasn't a relationship that you were necessarily completely open with, and I think that's because you were in a very protective state of yourself. And so I think that it took some time for you to completely open up and surrender, so to speak, to your partner. Now, where you are now is the Hierophant, and that's in regards to this relationship. I think part of you really enjoys playing the traditional partner role that you fit within this relationship. I think there's part of you that is also very old-fashioned, and you like honoring those type of values, but also you're the type of person who likes to be there for your partner and be there if your partner is in a time of need, so to speak, that there's a very nurturing sense of you. You're very compassionate, but you're also somebody who is very honest, and you don't really tolerate, you wouldn't be with somebody who didn't treat you well, so to speak. And I think that that stems from this protectiveness that you have within, which I think comes from experiences from the past. Now, the next card is the Hanged Man, and this is what you are hoping to get from this relationship. Peace, tranquility. Also, this has to do with you learning from the mistakes that have been made in the past, lessons that I've learned, and you moving forward with them and applying them to this relationship so those situations aren't repeated. The next card is the Son of Wands, and this indicates what your partner is bringing into this relationship. Now, your partner is somebody who's extremely charismatic, extremely charming. I think that this person has a very youthful sense to him or her, and I think that, this newness, this youthfulness was something that really interested you in this person. But also, there's an element of this person being too good to be true, and I think that this touches on the Four of Pentacles and maybe feeling, like, well, if something is too good to be true, it generally usually is. What your partner is bringing into this relationship is the Temperance card. Your partner has been through some stuff, okay? But this stuff, like you, has made this person better, and this person has been able to overcome, and he or she is willing to apply lessons learned like you. I think you guys are really on the same path to this relationship, so to speak. But also this person has a tenderness to him or her, a gentleness in the manner in which they go about things in regards to you and in life, but a very effective way, so to speak. Now, the next card, what your partner is hoping to get from this relationship, where he or she is hoping to take this relationship, is the Wheel of Fortune. Look at that card. It's beautiful, I know. So, in regards to the wheel and in regards to what your partner wants to this relationship, the Wheel of Fortune is like this perfect balance of like chaos and harmony coming together in a perfect light and moving forward together. This is also an acknowledgement that you can't have good without the bad. But there's also an abundance issue here, and an acknowledgement that if you could get through these ups and downs, you can generally get through anything. But it doesn't necessarily mean that things are always going to be easy. And I think that that's a very realistic view of all relationships, that, it takes work. Now, the way that you see your partner is the Empress. You see your partner as somebody who manifests spirit into matter, a creator. This person is abundance, and I think that this also touches on the different directions that you could take this relationship in. And I think that, you're in accordance with wanting to move forward and celebrate this relationship and continue to build, especially in an acknowledgement of the Wheel of Fortune. Now, the way your partner sees you is the Four of Wands, and I think if you haven't elevated your relationship yet, that's exactly the direction that your partner is wanting to take this relationship, with an engagement and or marriage. If you guys are already married, continuing to build and strengthen this relationship. Now, the outcome is the Father of Wands. This indicates passions, which are good and bad. You know, it really touches on your sexuality, but then it also touches on heated arguments and it touches on love. But also, I think that there's a way in going about things where this touches on, you know, being caring and charismatic, but also this touches on really taking the bull by the horns, so to speak, and addressing your problems. So I think that this also touches on the Wheel of Fortune. So overall, I think that this is a strong relationship. I think that, you know, with all relationships, you go through peaks and valleys, ups and downs, so to speak. But it looks like, you know, you guys are both in accordance with each other and there's deep emotions. So, with that said, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me at montreflotarot@gmail.com. Thanks, you guys.